All right, above, down, inside out. What does that mean to you? So for many of you, it's the first time you're hearing this. For my chiropractic colleagues that understand our philosophy of chiropractic, it just rolls off our lips. And I find myself, I was talking with some people last night, and they were talking about life and their philosophy of life and everything that's happening in life, and just kind of seeing their perspective and where they go to get their answers was very intriguing to me. So you could go to Google, you could pull out one of the most lethal weapons in the world, which is your cell phone, and go to Dr. Google and go ahead and get some answers. And it depends on who pops up on your screen. I mean, we know algorithms are being controlled, that they'll put out there what they want us to think, say, and do, and that's what's going to pop up. But if you want to seek other answers, I don't want to say necessary truth, because maybe my truth isn't your truth, but if you want to go and get another perspective, you got to dig deep to find it these days. And it's all coming from another man's perspective or woman's perspective. I mean, just remember, everything you read or write doesn't have to be 100%. It's just current day perspective of intellectual being trying to tell us what they think is right. And I know, being a professional student and getting my doctorate, that a lot of the things that I was literally forced to understand and believe to be truth are now different. That kids are learning things different in school, numbers of nerve fibers, brain pathways, chemistry, they're being interpreted differently today. So it's just things that I was getting tested on when I was going to get my doctorate have changed now. And that goes for medical school, any kind of academics right now. And it just makes me sit back philosophically and say, well, what made me wrong, so wrong back then, where maybe my lack of intellectuality was onto some kind of truth. So it made me just get humble and sit back and say, what is perceived as truth today doesn't necessarily mean it's truth, and we got to be open to that. And one of the things that's happened now is we've seen this segregation in society of belief systems and what people believe and what we're supposed to believe, and trying to force us to believe a certain way to make us a group of sheep to go move in a direction together, just to make everybody happy, right? Because we're all in this together. And I'm here to tell you, not necessarily so. We're really not. We think differently philosophically with life. You ask me a question, I'll give you an answer, and you may say, I don't agree with that at all. You may want to argue with me. I'm not here to argue. But just offer perspective and say, at the end of the day, can we all just chill out and just realize that we all have our personal belief and perspectives, and that's just the way it is. So when it comes to above, down, inside out, people will ask me, well, where do you get a lot of your answers? And I just try to keep it really simple. I'm a pretty simple human being for the most part. And when we talk above, down, inside out, I come from a place of faith, and philosophically in life, I can look at a tree. I was at a function last night in the middle of a field, and people are complaining about pollen. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with pollen? Allergies and swelling and, all this stuff. And then the people are pulling out, alcohol out of their bag to drink, and they've got cake, and they're eating all this crap. And I'm like, you're giving your system garbage that it's not going to adapt well, that a freaking pollen falling from a tree is ruining your day, ruining your week, ruining your month, ruining one of the most beautiful seasons in the world, changing in the spring and summer. You should be enjoying this stuff, not being a victim and complaining about it as we're standing out on a damn field. And I just realized it's the perspective, it's the brainwashing that education has given people, that pollen makes you sick, that pollen is going to swell your eyes, pollen's going to ruin your sleep, pollen's going to make your wife miserable. My wife is miserable. I can't live with her right now. She's got pollen allergies. And I'm like, listen, man, at the end of the day, it's your body not adapting. There's something going on internally that I'm not reacting to pollen and you are. And listen, I've got friends that react to pollen, and it's just the way that their body has adapted through life. But we got to ask ourselves why. Why isn't their body adapting? And it all comes down to your neurology, your nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, your brain stem. Is there interference? Is it connected? Is it static? If your cell phone is static, it's not connected to the tower, you've got nothing but a fancy paperweight. It's not going to receive a call, a text. Things aren't going to get sent out to other people. And it's like your body now picking up pollen molecules and saying, I don't know what you are. I'm going to release inflammatory responses that's going to try to push its stuff out of the body because I don't want it living inside of me. So that's your body innately, naturally adapting to that. Now, if you go ahead and start throwing in a bunch of medications to try to make it happen faster so you don't have a symptom and your eyes aren't swollen, you're now telling your body, step aside, you don't need to do it. I'm going to have something else do it for me, which is this pill that's coming from over a counter. I don't even know what's in it. And I'm telling my body's natural ability to step aside and not do a thing. Above, down, inside out. Listen, if we all realize that we're just not that smart, right? Most of us can't even build a sandcastle. Most people can't go out and build a deck, a home. There's professionals in the society that do that for us. I look at myself and I could go ahead and remove subluxations. I could help people stop from having seizures because their body adapts better, migraines, suicidal tendencies. You know, that's my art, that's my gift, because I know the science and I've trained at an art where someone else's art is something else and they're going to do something else, and we leave that up to the professionals. But when I realize I can't build a human being, I can't make arm bones and hearts and livers and kidneys, that two human beings can make love, and in the span of 9 months you've got a baby that's alive, breathing, digesting, neurological, complicated, the most complicated machine in the world that was created in a mommy's belly. And what created that? You don't have to be a religious person going to church on Sunday to realize that there's something more powerful than any single one of us on this planet that makes shit happen. And you just don't have control over that. And at the end of the day, when you realize that this thing, right, I choose to call it God, you may call it something else. At the end of the day, we'll find out our answer when we all kick it. And we cross over and we say, man, I was either way off or I was spot on. But I'm not going to argue it, right? I call it faith. I got faith. I believe. I just threw my hands up in the air a long time ago and said, I'm going to stop thinking. I'm just not that smart. But I also realize anytime I look at a baby, I'm like, man, that thing just came out of God's workshop. That thing's got his fingerprints on him still, and I hope this society doesn't mess up that child's mind, their decision making, and I hope that child is connected within, from above down, inside out, knowing that the Creator created them, that energy and power is coming down through their neurology, inside of them, inside out. The answers don't come from the outside. The answers don't come from a medicine cabinet. The answers don't all come from Google. It might be an answer today, but it's wrong tomorrow, and it challenges your beliefs, and it may mess up your entire life if you keep making the same sinking decisions that are ruining your life. So sometimes when you get quiet and you just listen to what people call your gut, and our philosophy would call it your innate, listening to that voice within and then just feeling, this doesn't feel right. I'm not going to do it. I need to do something different. I need to make a massive change. And you start listening from within and trusting your body's wisdom innately. Your body's going to heal, adapt, and your life's going to be a lot simpler. I guarantee it. And that's a massive journey. That's a huge meditation. That's a lot of work that you've got to go into to let things go and try not to control life, control decisions, and not be a damn victim in life. Not to be yelling at a tree that we're out on a field because there's pollen falling from it, or the grass is too high, or these guys cutting the lawn aren't lifting the clippings, and now I can't breathe. And then you're sucking down donuts and your Tito's, and your body's now inflamed and not adapting. You're making choices that are creating an outcome instead of getting quiet within and saying, what can I do better? And listen, that doesn't mean you shouldn't desert and drink and have fun. I get it. But if you're not adapting, if your body's expressing health in ways you don't like, that people call sickness, I call it expressing health. Your body's sending out signals to let you know that there's a problem. You're not adapting properly. Your body has to fight. It's fight and flight. It's trying to survive and adapt to all these seasons and toxins and things going on around us. Then you got to get quiet and listen and realize, what can I do better? And above, down, inside out tells us to get quiet and listen and say, how can I clear my system out? How can I get my system to function and be stronger, better? Especially these little babies and these kids going around. I was at my kid's school. I had to sign a paper. They had to come outside the school. I wasn't allowed inside the school. God forbid you breathe on a child. And they were doing a mask dance out in front of the school because they let them go outside for a couple minutes and do jumping jacks. And then these little babies, they had to be kindergarten, had to do a dance. Now it's time to put on a mask, put on a mask, put on a mask. And these kids are like little monkeys dancing. And it was a popular song. I forget the song. They ruined the damn song because they're brainwashing these kids. And now they got to put hand sanitizer to walk back inside the building. And I'm thinking of all the toxins that are on that sanitizer. That little baby now is putting on their hands every single day. And that stuff's getting in their bloodstream. And what is that doing to them neurologically, internally, to their cell structure? It ain't right. It's not right. And as a society, we got to get quiet and realize we got to get back to basics. You look at any dollar bill, any money in your pocket, it says, in God we trust. The answer is we don't. We're living a lie. We've pushed God out of society and we're living from the outside in. We're looking for the answers from a man or a woman in a suit and tie, a dress, who's perceived to be more intellectual, to have the power, to have the answers. And it's time to say stop. and to start looking within, personally, in your household. Take care of you. Take care of your kids. Take care of your spouse, and become more connected. And then that'll filter over into your friends, your children, our whole community, that we can now celebrate a moment outside staring at the trees on the grass instead of complaining about it. Complaining about what's happening next. Complaining about what we're going to do. Complaining about what they're telling us to do. Complaining about what they're not telling us to do. Chill out, man. Live above, down, inside out. Get quiet, live innately, be connected, be loving, be forgiving, and live in peace. God bless.